get out. Get your kids out of government school systems right now, if you can, if you have any way. Save money, move, get a second job, don't take the vacation, sell the boat, whatever, drive for Uber. Figure out what you need to do to get your kid out of the government school system, because it's about saving your kid right now. What I want to know is what's being pumped into the minds of those kids. And what you realize when you pull the curtain back over 100 years is the entire pipeline of our education system has been federalized intentionally. And taken over not just by like lefties or technocrats or bureaucrats. Everyone you meet through that timeline who's pushing hard on the shoulder on the plow of education is an atheist, a Marxist, or a socialist, or a humanist. A lot of them are humanists, which is—
What's a humanist?
Humanist is basically a completely rejects Christianity or faith at all. And so it's all— humanity is at the center of good and evil, right and wrong. It's effectively secularism posited as an alternative religion to Christianity. Oh. So it'll find politics as an avenue, and so humanists are often socialists or Marxists or communists alongside being a humanist. But it's the worship of mankind as the highest being, as opposed to God as the highest being. So they're all— that's the train of people pushing this educational philosophy. And I used to think it started in the 60s. It actually goes back to the progressive era and even before that. But they very intentionally— the one thing they knew they had to remove from the beginning was God. God had to come out of the schools because God was the immovable object that prevented their utopian schemes. They wanted— if you want to manipulate children, if you want to change the way they think, rewire the relationship of families, you have to get at the God thing, because the garden and the sin in the garden is all— disrupts those utopian schemes. And so the early progressives, communists, Marxists, very intentionally worked hard in creating systems that slowly but surely removed God. Because if you went into a public school, government school in America in the 1850s or 1870s and 1830s, the Bible's in there, prayers in there, scripture readings in there. It's all in there. So it's the modern court that made all those things unconstitutional based on a misreading of the First Amendment and freedom of religion versus freedom from religion. And the progressives have exploited that. And then the process from there they used patriotism falsely to sort of get rid of God. And then once they built an allegiance to state, and what that was is they replaced basically the cross in the Bible with the flag and a pledge. The original Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist minister. And it did not include under God. The Pledge of Allegiance originally didn't include under God. Eisenhower added under God in the 50s when we were fighting the godless communists. So you have a flag and you have a pledge allegiance to the republic. By the way, we're a republic, not a democracy, and our education system pumps democracy down people's throats, and our founders couldn't stand democracy, but that's a whole nother ballgame. The left always changes language. They change language to create an alternate reality, to manipulate human beings into whatever utopian scheme of 15 minutes ago they want to advocate for that increases their power and control. And they saw the government school system as the best entity to do that in. And so they focused and pushed.